the Honorable Member for Emuhaya, Honorable Omboko Milema, aka Mwalimu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for acknowledging my teaching profession. Honorable Speaker, if there's any one profession that has been hurt most by SRC are the teachers of Kenya. And they have continuously released circulars and letters which otherwise control everything in terms and conditions of service for the teachers. And this has made the teachers of Kenya stagnate in the same job groups for the longest time. Currently, the teachers of Kenya are still stagnated and remain at a CBA that was negotiated in 2016. Since that particular time is over 10 years ago. SRC has been given some extra leeway, and this historically began with the time when it was thought that SRC would control the wage bill. Since then, the wage bill has reduced. In fact, what is increasing our CFS in terms of recurrent expenditure is payment of the loans, and not the wage bill. The wage bill, Honorable Madam Speaker, has really reduced, and in fact it has gone down by about 13% compared to what it was. Honorable Speaker, let me tell you what SRC is doing in this particular regulation. That SRC wants to proceed and usurp the powers of all other commissions so that it remains the only commission that will overrule and oversee the other commissions, which is wrong as per the Constitution, because all the 10 commissions that are independent are only subject to the Constitution. The SRC, Honorable Speaker, wants to take over negotiation of CBAs from both the employer and the unions of this country. Honorable Speaker, the SRC has already terminated any acting allowances for workers in this country, specifically for teachers, despite the Employment Act Section 4A, which allows for that. Honorable Speaker, the SRC has terminated special allowance, which is allowed in the Labor Relations Act and the Labor and Employment Act. Honorable Speaker, the SRC has currently stopped any negotiations with workers of this country through a letter which I think also the chair of this committee will be receiving, so that you may squash it. Because as per the law, workers are supposed to negotiate CBS after 3 years, but the SRC has stopped it via a letter only. Today, Madam Speaker, the SRC has gone ahead, and this is a very sad story, that there is a group of workers in this country called the ECD teachers. The ECD teachers who are completely volunteers for over the years. But along the way, the county government, Honorable Speaker, picked the ECD teachers and gave them some contractual work. Today, the SRC, via a circular, which I'm having and which we shall be surrendering to the chair of this committee, has reduced the salaries of those ECD teachers by between 7,000 to 10,000 Kenya shillings. And in fact, they have reduced some of the salaries to below the minimum wage. That is the commission we are dealing with, Honorable Speaker. I want to tell you, Honorable Speaker, that the SRC today, in these regulations, was pursuing to have the control of regulating pensions of all our workers in the country, which is against the law, because the pensions are under the Pensions Act, the Treasury, and other institutions that have been mandated to do that. Honorable Speaker, in this regulation, the SRC was even trying to change the formula. Honorable members should listen to this. To change the formula of calculating pensions, which has been there for several years. So soon you'll realize that your pensions are calculated lower than they should have been calculated because of these regulations by the SRC. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, the SRC is trying to make sure that the pensions of all workers are reduced. Having said all that, I want to commend this committee for having annulled all the regulations of Salaries and Remuneration Commission in total. I want them to follow up and deal with the issue of reducing the salaries of nursery or ECD teachers. The ECD teachers have no voice and nobody is speaking for them. But I know this parliament will speak for the ECD teachers of Kenya, whose salary has been reduced from 18,000 to below 15,000, which is the minimum wage required by the International Labor Relations Convention number 98. It is high time SRC got under control. It's high time that we regulated SRC, because all these, Honorable Speaker, they do it without public participation, they do it without consulting anybody, and they have had always their way out. I want to support the report and ask that this committee continues to deal with the many other circulars that have been given by the SRC, including the one on ECD teachers, which one of the county governments has already started applying, and that's the Homa Bay County. It's the first one to have reduced the salaries of those particular teachers. In law, a salary that somebody is enjoying cannot be reduced. If it were to be reduced, it's required in law. The Labor Instruments Act that a conversation ensures, and there must be a real big thing that has happened, what we call force majeure, like when we had the COVID. That's when you go to an extent of reducing people's salaries. So therefore, I want to support this report.